From opposition NPP accuses governing NDC of a plot to disrupt Akwatia by-election.
We are also reliably informed that the NDC has been training some of the thugs they used in Ablikmanov parliamentary rerun under the guise of national security and intends to clandestinely clothe them in police uniform.
Tonight, we interrogate the NPP's evidence of alleged NDC Akwatia by-election blueprint for violence, facts, and electoral malpractice here on Top Story. And the opposition NPP's communications director, Richard Anyagba, has raised concerns about the security situation in Akwatia, accusing the governing NDC of training thugs disguised as national security operatives to disrupt the upcoming by-election in that constituency. According to Richard Anyagba, the NDC's plan to intimidate voters, rig the election, and ultimately secure the seat for their party. Mr. Anyagba made the accusations at a news conference where he explained the alleged plot. He claimed that the NDC has been recruiting and training individuals to pose as security personnel with the intention of causing chaos and violence during the by-election. The NPP's communications director called on President John Dramani Mahama to intervene and order Richard Jakpa, a prominent NDC member, to stand down and stop the alleged plot. Listen to him.
Administration whether they had any warrant for the arrest of any NPP person, and the IGP's response was that no such warrants exist. Nevertheless, the New Patriotic Party has very reliable information and intelligence that the NDC intends to hide behind the guise of national security to terrorize some residents and voters in Akwatia and during the by-election. It is instructive to note that the police administration has indicated their deployment of 5,000 service men for the Akwatia by-election. Despite the IGP's unequivocal assurance that the Ghana Police Service does not need any military support to maintain law and order, the infamous Richard Jakpa, my namesake, who has been appointed as the Director of Operation at the National Security, has been seen perambulating the Akwatia constituency with soldiers and reportedly threatening some indigents and residents to leave town before the by-election in their own interest. Upon the assurance of the IGP, we want to make it abundantly clear that any soldier involved in the Akwatia by-election will be considered and dealt with as a thug, or in a manner as a thug. We therefore call on the President, who is the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, and in whose responsibility, on whose shoulder the responsibility of the security of the state rests, to call Richard Jakpa to order and ensure that no soldier meddles in the Akwatia by-election. We are also reliably informed that the NDC has been training some of the thugs they used or deployed in Ablikmanov parliamentary rerun under the guise of national security and intends to clandestinely clothe them in police uniform to deploy them during the by-election. The NDC and the Ghana Police Service must know that as a party that has just exited government in less than a year, we have our eyes and ears on the ground and on them, knowing what the NDC is noted for.
This is Top Story, brought to you always by Telecel Connecting Energies and also by Shield Pension Trust. Into the future with you. Let's bring in Kenneth Jesse, my colleague here at Joy News, who covered this particular news conference. Kenneth, grateful to you for joining. Now, at this news conference, was there any evidence adduced to these allegations that the communication director of the NPP put forth?
Well, he said that they had their own intelligence, an intelligence that he refused to share with us. The intelligence, he says, they've gathered over time, which points to the fact that Richard Ahiagba is the mastermind behind all of that. And of course, this is not the first time they are also charging the Ghana Police Service to be circumspect, especially in guarding electoral processes. They cited the case of Ablekuma North constituency, which they are still not convinced, despite the fact that the Ghana Police Service did indicate to them that they have arrested 8 people who have so far been arraigned before court. They say, 1, that has been slow to come, and 2, the persons who perpetrated those violence are more than 8, so they do not understand why the Ghana Police Service has managed to just arrest 8 people. And of course, they're calling on President John Dramani Mahama, who is the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, to call them to order, because according to Richard Ahiagba, the police gave them the assurance that no military personnel will be deployed there.
Was there any voice played to support the claim that residents are being accused to leave are being forced to leave their communities?
Well, he provided no claim, no justification. As I mentioned earlier, he's saying that their intelligence, intelligence that he did mention, he didn't provide any clear-cut evidence to support the claim, but he says that is this is an information they are gathering from their intelligence without supporting it with any visuals or any audio whatsoever.
Okay. Grateful to you, Kenneth Jesse there. He's my colleague here at Joy News. Let me now bring in Richard Ahiagba himself, Director of Communications of the NPP, joining us on the line. Also, Mustafa Gbande is Deputy General Secretary of the governing NDC. Richard, I'm grateful to you for joining. Now, these are wild allegations, and yes, you say it's through your intelligence gathering, but there should be something to back these allegations you throw out there for people to then support your call that the IGP should do, or the government or the president should intervene and call Richard Ahiagba to order.
Oh, thank you. What evidence do you need?
If you say
the evidence you need is replete. You already have it, so you don't need me to give you evidence. You saw what happened in Ablekuma North. We said what they were going to do in Ablekuma North. It happened. To date, the people who, even if you are given the chance to investigate and arrest those people, you do that in a heartbeat, because the people who committed those atrocities in Ablekuma North, they are all on video. So as to how the police cannot find them is shocking. And, if you're asking for evidence for this, you're asking me to disclose my source, which inherently you will not do as a journalist. So I'm not sure what disclosures you'll be interested in. But this information that we're gathering is credible, vastly reliable, and what we are doing or trying to do with this press conference is to just draw the managers of our security, national security, in this case, especially the IGP, draw his attention that we have caught wind of what is happening, to let them know we know what is happening, and put the responsibility where it belongs, so they must deal with it.
But in fact, if you say that some community members or some residents are being asked to leave their communities in their own interest, that should come with some people telling you that this is what it is. Else, it then comes down to conjecturing. Not so.
Yeah, not at all, not at all. In fact, I am not going to mention names, but to be honest, the people who are in there, okay, who are carrying out that mandate uh, within the national security installation on behalf of the party, they know themselves. My brother Mustafa Bande, who is going to be speaking very shortly, is going to say it's never true, it's never happened, there's nothing like that. But that's exactly what they are doing. We know that. But except that I won't just mention people's name to you, but I have names, people they have prevailed upon, particularly to get out of town because their presence is affecting their work, accusing them of one thing or the other, only to intimidate them to leave town. We know what they are doing. Look, what the NDC is doing, in fact, they're going to have a big egg on their face on the 2nd, but they are determined to win this election, and that determination itself is going to be their biggest loss. What they are trying to do is to demonstrate to the country that, oh, they are still popular, that after their victory on December 7th, they are popular. Ultimately, because since they came, the things they promised, it's not happening. The young people who push them and carry them to power are despondent in just 8 months. So they are trying to use this election to rekindle, okay, whatever goodwill they had and have completely lost. So this election, they are giving it everything, including this security tactics to try and intimidate people. We know about all the trainings that are going on, all the attempt to fuse their thugs into the security services. We know about that. And so the truth is that the security leadership understands, and our plea to the IGP is that he must do the needful. He is given so much assurances. We want him to deliver. Ablekumanov was his Waterloo. We hope that Akwatia will not add to it. If he adds to it, then he would have lost all credibility. To us, the 8 people he says he has arrested is a skirmish as far as we know.
Okay, but Richard, you mentioned that you know that the NDC is training some thugs. Why are these thugs being trained?
People who just were expressing themselves on social media, they found them late at night, knocked in their door, arrested them. What's happened with people who have gone to abuse people? They can't find.
Okay.
But they can find regular people who are just being citizens and participating at democratic discourse.
Richard, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I'm asking that you say that you are aware the NDC is training some thugs, and I'm asking where exactly are these thugs being trained?
You were here in this country when we were in power. There were similar conversations that went on. We had a credible verification and evidence to tell Ghanaians we're not doing, but they insisted. Like what we are talking about, they just won't agree. They just will not accept it. But we have credible intelligence within their own setup that is confirming to us that these trainings are going on, and we're just warning or cautioning, I should say, the IGP that the 5,000 men that he promised to deploy to Akwatia, those 5,000 men must be serving police officers.
Okay.
And they must all be wearing their name tags and their service numbers we will verify, because the understanding is that they want to fuse their tags. And I'll tell you what is happening in Akwatia now. When you go there, you will see what you saw in Ablekumanov with NDC thugs or a group of thugs walking about, macho men walking about. They have fused them into the community. They are walking in singles, but they have aligned them with people in the community. So you won't see any visibility of them, but they are in town. They are in town operating. And these are the people that on the day will be dressed up as police, most likely to be going about intimidating our people and suppressing turnout. And so we are clear in our minds that the NDC must allow the government, the Electoral Commission to do its job. On the day, let it be one man, one woman, one vote. Let's count it. Whoever wins goes home with a prize. Okay. But any effort by the NDC to create any mischief, any mayhem in Akwatia will not be will not go down well with all of us. And I think that the idea also that the IGP, we have pleaded with him, and I think that we have an understanding that there must not be any military participation in that election on Tuesday.
Okay.
The police will lead. Let the police lead. We are working with the police to ensure that their men are trained and they are there to protect electorates and let everybody come and vote in peace. And that's really what we want. And I think that when that happens, the winner will go home with a prize, and I think that winner will be the new patriotic party.
So these thugs are not being trained, but rather they've been infused into the team that will be providing security.
So I'm telling you about those that are on the ground. There are training going on.
Where?
Okay, they are training people, and I can tell you that they are training people. Okay,
where are these trainings happening?
At the usual training venues that you know. Okay, they are training people.
I don't know any. Can you tell us where?
No, Elton, you can't tell me that. But I'm saying that they are training people, okay? Those people from the intelligence we have will constitute part of the 5,000 men that the IGP is likely to deploy.
Okay.
And we're saying that the IGP, based on the conversations that our leaders have had with him in the meetings that we've had with them, we want that the service personnel that are going to be deployed to the electoral areas, the 21 or so electoral areas, we want their names, we want their service numbers, we want those regional commanders that will be assisting them, we want their information so that we can have visibility. We can ascertain the service record of those people who are there. So we don't have these trained NDC thugs become part of the police on the day. Because what we have learned from Abdulrahmanov is that the visibility that led to them being captured on video, which is leading and forcing for their prosecution, arrest and prosecution, they want to avoid it. So they are going to hide them in uniform to be able to carry out their bidding.
Yeah, but one of the things that we cannot do in this critical moment is not to put out information out there that we cannot, verify with evidence. That's why I wish that you are able to tell us where exactly these trainings are happening so the police can have a cue as in what to do and where to strike.
I don't understand why you are insisting. You're a journalist. If I ever ask you, tell me your source, you tell me you can't disclose your source.
No, I'm not asking for source. You say they are training the people somewhere, and you say that they are usual training grounds. And we are talking to Ghanaians. All of us want to be educated. We want to know because we are all stakeholders in peaceful elections. So I'm asking you to provide to us the names of the places where these trainings are happening. That's all I'm asking.
Well, I can mention a place for you, but I'm just not interested in mentioning that. The information is meant for the IGP who is leading this election. And we're saying that this is the intelligence we have. He must take note and act accordingly. Mentioning names will not change anything. The essential matter is the information we have. That is happening. And the IGP and the security corps, they know where these trainings within this country, where those trainings can possibly be happening. Okay, I can mention the name, but that is not a substantial matter at play. The key thing is that is happening, and the IGP must take note and take steps to foil it and make this doesn't happen. And also we have intelligence that suggests that some of the guys on the ground, and that's why we said that no military participation should be allowed, because that's the agreement, the standing agreement. But on the ground, the understanding we're having is that there's a possibility that they would have people clothed in military uniforms who are not military officers.
Okay, let's admit that you don't want to disclose the names of where the trainings are happening on radio. Have you made these places available to the Ghana Police Service so they can intervene?
There's a representation that will be made to them, in fact, that to get them to understand. But these are things that, as I have said, those within the security infrastructure will be aware, and I think that the IGP will have to do the needful.
All right, do stay with me. Let me bring in Mustafa Agbande. Mustafa is Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Mustafa, what's the role of the national security in the operations around the elections in Akwatia?
Well, so good evening and good evening to our cherished listeners. Let me first of all state that the NDC is fully prepared and ready for the Akwatia by-election. We have deployed everything that will make it humanly possible for lawyer Ernest Bediako to be declared as a winner of these elections. The NDC have done everything possible to eschew and to also cooperate with the police and other security agencies to ensure that we have a relatively very peaceful, violent-free elections. The Inspector General of Police have assured all of us the readiness of the Ghana Police Service, which is also a major stakeholder in terms of all elections that we have gone through. And the IGP have also made it possible that any individual that have any information about persons either concealed or planning to foment or to do anything that is illegal contrary to law, such persons would have the attention of the police service, and that will be addressed. Now, what I will assure the NPP and what they are running away from is the fact that on the Akwatia election, we will collaborate with relevant security agencies to ensure that persons who are on wanted list for either electoral violence, we have invited victims of Techiman South election, Iowa West election, and any other place where there have been electoral violence to help us identify persons who have not yet been arrested.
But are you there to conduct? I mean, are both stakeholders there to conduct an election, or you are there to arrest people? And again, the question I want to find out from you is that, as you say, you are prepared to win. Does that include the deployment of Richard Jakpa to undertake any operation in the Akwatia area?
The venue where criminals will be arrested. You can arrest a criminal in a matrimonial home. You can arrest a criminal in church. You can also arrest a criminal in the hospital. And we are looking for places where these people would like to attend, places where they would like to go. And so that is the only assurance that we give the NPP. Besides that, I will not respond to anything. All the litany of allegations, baseless, roadside politics that my brother Richard have raised, I will respond to it. Richard Jakpa is a member of the NDC. He will remain the member of the NDC. He is an officer of the national security. Wherever people meet and there is crime, national security has an interest. Wherever people meet and there's a likelihood of, social security issues, national security will have an interest. I will not hold brief for national security, but to say that you are running away from Jakpa only underscores your own shadows. What you've taken Jakpa through is what is chasing you.
But Bande, hold on. So you are confirming that indeed Richard Jakpa and the national security are on the ground undertaking some activities, right?
Has it ever been strange for national security not to evaluate those threat assessments of any venue of election? Is it strange? In Iowa West Wagon by election, the security infraction that occurred were under the full participation, sponsorship, and control of national security to perpetrate that crime.
So you want to repeat same?
No, I would say that it is not alien that prior to any election, the Bureau of National Investigation, NIB today, national security, police intelligence, military intelligence, and all other intelligence agencies would have a role to assess threats that goes beyond the election.
But Bande, the IGP gave the assurance that they have the men, and in fact they were going to deploy a certain number of people to oversee this election. They didn't mention that they were going to use other security agencies. So, I mean, in whose partnership is the national security there to assess the security situation of the constituency?
Yes, I am in Akwatia, and the police are fully in charge of this election. We in the NDC are responsible for this election. Richard is just telling you that people are being trained elsewhere. But for every intelligence assessment, the law is that go and hint the intelligence agencies or the police to arrest these persons. If you know that their intention is what offends the law, what is preventing the NPP from going to report to the police? When you had the state, when you had the military, when you had the security institutions, we defeated you to your game. What then do we need?
Hold on. It's not about defeating someone. The issue is that they are raising issues. That Richard Jakpa is in the constituency telling people to leave for their own sake. And you are confirming that, in fact, he is there to undertake pre-election security monitoring of the constituency. And I'm asking, under whose sanction is this happening?
I'm asking you that the person who is alleging on public radio that national security, Jakpa is there threatening people, have not given you a single evidence. You don't also have persons from the community telling you that Jakpa has threatened anybody. Richard Jakpa again is telling you that people are being trained for electoral violence, and you are allowing him to go with these lies. You are allowing him to continue.
But Bande, you are confirming that Richard Jakpa indeed is in the constituency. And I'm asking, under whose sanction is that? What is the national security really doing? Because then you tend to give some fire to this allegation the NPP is putting across. We've asked them for evidence they have not been able to adduce. But if you say he is indeed there, then you are trying to fuel the allegation. That's why I'm asking, what exactly is the national security doing?
I'm saying that Richard Jakpa is a member of the NDC at all times.
And
Number two, and I've also said that it has never been alien for national security to have any oversight on any election. And he knows that. And I've given you an example of Ayawaso West Wagon, where the national security got involved and even went overboard to train and deploy people. Is that what they are scared of? And I have told Richard that let him go and tell his party that this noise will not deter our strategy in winning the election. The police will not win the election for the NPP. They are sitting in Accra in the name of primaries. They are not campaigning on the ground, presented a substandard parliamentary candidate who cannot express himself, and they want to hold the security agencies responsible for their election. And you want me to join that conversation?
No, I'm not asking
Let
you
them come
to join
the ground and campaign. We are here.
But Bande, hold on. When the police said they were fully in charge of this, we didn't hear the national security will be deployed anywhere, and that's why I really want to understand why the change, why the new twist that the national security can also be there.
Nobody have said national security can be in election. I've said that it has never been alien that national security will have an oversight on national elections. But the agency responsible for elections is the police service. And as I speak to you, if Richard, who is talking to you, have not come to Akwatia since this issue of by-election started, they have never come to Akwatia. But yet they are speaking to Akwatia issue. We are here and we are seeing the MPP on the ground will confirm the preparedness of the police as far as this election is concerned. So if you sit in Accra and you want the police to win an election for you, it's not going to happen. Yet he is declaring war on the military. It is not our business.
Okay, I'm grateful to you, Mustafa Bande, who's the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, and to you, Richard Anyagba, Director of Communications of the NPP. This has been Top Story. Up next is Newsnight.